This is part 2 of comparing ourselves to others. In part 1, I started with the why we have a fundamental need to evaluate ourselves and looked at some of the psychology behind it. Today, I'm going to be wrapping that all up, explaining that when we compare ourselves to other people, we're not really comparing ourselves to other people. And then I'll be sharing 4 tips to help you. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Richard Rozza with the Personal Development Channel. If you have not seen part 1 of why we compare ourselves to others, then the link is above. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. And if at any point you like what you see, give it a like. Let's get to it. If you were still with me at the end of part 1, you were probably wondering, what does this all mean? Well, 2 things, plus some really great news if comparing yourself is making you unhappy. First, when we compare ourselves to other people, we're not really comparing ourselves to other people. Yes, you heard me right. What we're actually doing is comparing our ideas about ourselves to other people, then using our observations about those people to validate those pre-existing ideas. If you think about it that way, you've never really compared yourself to another person in your entire life. You've only compared your idea about yourself to another person. What's more, the last few years have added a whole new level of abstraction to this process in the form of, you guessed it, social media. Now when we compare ourselves to other people, we're actually just comparing ourselves to versions of other people. The versions they choose to put into the world. We're comparing our blooper reel to someone else's highlight reel and judging ourselves against their prettified proxy. This isn't news, but it's worth remembering. People's digital selves are not their real selves. No matter how much time they spend on Instagram or use the word authentic or fucking hashtag no filter, and you can include me in that. I won't sit here and give you any bullshit. If you think I can sit here and reel off what I'm telling you in every one of my videos or podcasts without making any mistakes, you are fucking wrong. A lot of the time, this is research from the web, books, people I've spoken to, and then I spend a lot of time writing before I even get to the recording of the videos. Even after when I start recording them, I have to practice what I'm going to say, and I promise you I make shitloads of mistakes. If I compare myself, you can go back to one of my first ever videos on YouTube, you'll see, look at the difference. I mean, firstly, the equipment's pretty much the same. I've got a light and I've got a different backdrop, and it's, it looks more like a studio now. But that's just a background. But even my delivery is very different compared to what it was when I first started. But it's the same for other people. What you see on social media is somebody's highlight reel. So in essence, what I'm saying is, try not to compare yourself with every bit of shit you see on social media. Although I know I'm not saying it's easy, especially with the world that we've brought ourselves up into now. But it's important that you realize what somebody is posting on their social media. A lot of the time, not all of the time, a lot of the time it is their highlight reel. And that means what you're seeing is maybe not the problems that person has. Everybody's got problems, everybody's got issues. Lots of people have insecurities. Even the people that you look on social media, I have insecurities, I've got problems, I've got issues, I've got fucking loads of them. But what sometimes people see are just that first image of somebody, and they think, oh, look at this, look what they're doing, look how great they are, look how good looking that person is, look how well they've taken a picture. But look, everyone has issues, everyone's got problems. That's why comparing yourself to other people these days feels so much worse than it used to. And not only are you comparing your idea about yourself to another person, you're comparing your idea about yourself to someone else's idea about themselves. And since that person is also comparing their idea about themselves to you, and your idea about yourself and hundreds of other people and their ideas, a huge chunk of life is really just ideas comparing themselves to other ideas, which is actually quite funny once you see it for what it is. Now, second, when we compare ourselves to other people, we're just usually confirming the ideas we already have about ourselves. In other words, we compare ourselves to other people to verify the self-concepts we already hold, not to develop new or accurate ones. Since the human mind seeks stability and coherence above all else, we're almost always using those observations to confirm that we're right about the people we think we are. Because if we are truly honest about the comparison data we received, we'd have to rewrite all of our mental models about ourselves and the world. A person convinced that they are the greatest employee on earth would have to adjust the idea they still have a lot to learn. A person convinced that they will never find a partner would have to adjust to the idea that they're worthwhile, in control and responsible for their relationships. For most of us, rewriting those fundamental self-concepts would be terrifying. So we just go on verifying the ones we already have. We don't even realize it. Which is also kind of funny if you think about it. We spend all this time obsessing about how we stack up against other people, but in many cases, we've already made up our minds. So, if comparing yourself to other people is making you miserable, then ask yourself what your motivation for comparing yourself really is. Is it to assess your abilities and opinions? Is it to enhance your sense of self about those abilities and opinions? Or is it to verify the beliefs you already hold about those abilities and opinions? Many of us will be surprised by the motivations lurking beneath the self-comparison we're engaged in on a daily basis. What seems like self-assessment can subtly turn into self-enhancement when we realise we don't quite stack up the way we'd like. What seems like self-enhancement can turn out to be self-verification when we realise we're seeking out comparisons that reflect the people we believe we are. And what we seem like self-verification can suddenly become true self-assessment when we realise that we've only been trying to protect ourselves. But no matter what your motivation really is, at the end of the day, the buck ultimately stops with you. And that is great news. Because if self-comparison is making you miserable, then it's only because of the reasons you're doing it in the first place and the ideas you choose to form as a result. Both of which are, over time, totally within your control. Still, we'll never stop comparing ourselves. Not really. This instinct to self-evaluate, to look to other people for information about ourselves, is deeply wired into our species. But you can notice the tendency to self-compare, and just by noticing it, refrain from doing it when it's not truly productive. And you can investigate your motives for self-comparison and make sure that you're comparing yourself for reasons that are productive and healthy, rather than egoistic and toxic. And with enough self-awareness, patience and kindness, you can eventually learn to use that comparison not to unfairly tear yourself down or artificially build yourself up, but to find out, and I mean really find out for real, if the ideas you hold about yourself are actually accurate. Starting with that one idea that brought you to this video in the first place. Do I need to compare myself to other people in order to be happy? You might be thinking, well, this is all very insightful, Richard, but I still feel confused and you haven't actually given me any tips to help. But I have got 4 basic little tips to finish this off with to hopefully help with some of what I've said over the last 2 episodes. The first tip is be okay with imperfections. In the back of your mind, you might think that a lot of people are living an amazing life with no flaws, but as I have explained over this series, actually no one is exempt from problems and challenges. Some people are just good at keeping their problems to themselves. Say yes to every part of your life, ups, downs, the good, the bad. Remind yourself that you do not actually know what is going on behind closed doors. So be okay with your imperfections. Your imperfection is what makes you who you are. Appreciate the good things in your life. Count the good things you have. Think about how lucky you are to have all the essentials you need. Look for the people who get toiling to get things you already have. Appreciate yourself for whatever you have achieved. Adore your success and focus on your betterment instead of keeping yourself in others' place. Be grateful for everything you have. Be blessed. Okay, the next one is everyone is unique in their own way. Comparing your gifts and talents with others will hinder you from exploring yourself. If you're comparing yourself with someone who is good at art, it doesn't mean that you suck in life. It's only because you are very good at swimming and they can't swim maybe. So just think about, try and put some logic behind your thinking sometimes. And then the final one is get rid of social media toxicity. Social media can be a great source of inspiration when used properly. But if your Instagram and Twitter are flooded with loads of bullshit, it triggers frustration and self-doubt. So detox your social media accounts to support less comparison in your life. Okay, challenge time. I challenge you to go through your social media accounts and remove anything that triggers self-doubt. That's all for the challenge. I think some of you might find this difficult, but I'd really be interested to see if people do this or not. Share your challenge experience with us in the YouTube comments or tag us on Instagram using @Rozza Mindset. That's it for today, everyone. Hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed the content today, give it a like. And if you'd like to be notified of when new episodes are released, then click the notification bell. If you think this could help someone you know, then please share. And finally, come and join our community on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. All of the links will be in the description below. This has been Richard Rozza. Stay safe and keep active.